Hi there, it's Holly and I'm here at Kennedy's and I want to wish you a happy holiday as we make our holiday wreaths. We're going to use fresh evergreens, some artificial bright red berries, a traditional classic velvet red bow, and some frosted pine cones. So, to get started today, we have these lovely little bundles and we're gonna unwind them. There's a thicker wire which we're gonna use at the end. So kind of keep this set to the side. Whoop, down she goes. And then we have these bind wires. So there's a bunch of about 10 of them, and that's what we'll use to secure the greens to the wreath if we need it. And then kind of working our way through, I have a little extra bind. We have several different kinds of evergreen that we're going to work with. And we have some white pine, those long needles, a little bit of the Douglas fir, kind of a stiffer one. Two different types of cedar. This is grown in Canada, and then we have some that's a little bit more fluffy, and that's locally grown here in Michigan. Some Carolina sapphire, and again, you know, some more white pine. So something that I'd recommend doing as you get started with this do-it-yourself wreath kit is separating out your pieces and kind of just taking a little assessment of your assortment. And we're going to use this fabulous grapevine wreath, and we're just going to kind of weave things into it. So I like to start with my longer pieces first, put them in, and then kind of work up from there. So as I start to kind of figure out which ones I want to place first, you know, I'm going to use this nice white pine and, you know, kind of take a look at your wreath and figure out, you know, how you want it to go, because they're all a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of make mine a little bit more oblong. And I start by just taking, you know, the end of the green and weaving it in there a little bit, because that's the nice thing about these wreaths is you can kind of put it all in there and you almost don't need to use the bind wire. My wreath, I'm not going to make it go all the way around. I'm going to kind of have it go to each side, and then I'm going to put my bow as a focal with the cones at the top. So I have a long piece right from the get-go, and I am going to use one of the pieces of the bind wire, kind of curve it, and with the bind wire you just loop it in through some of these grapevine pieces. Put your green on top of the bind wire and then just twist it a little bit. And I like to just do, you know, kind of 2 twists. It's just almost like a twisty tie, and have it just hold there. And I leave the length in case I want to add any more on top of it. Just kind of be resourceful with the bind wire. And sometimes I like to, you know, copy or echo what I do on one side on the other. So I'm going to put the other long needle pine in and just kind of let it go out to the side. I love this Carolina sapphire. This is really cool. It's kind of almost like a blue-green, and it's just beautiful. So I'm going to kind of pop this one over to one side, kind of echo it. This one's a little bit longer than the other. So again, just kind of working it in there, inserting it, pushing it a little ways, and then I'm going to take the bind wire and kind of secure it down so it's not too wild. But you can go as wild as you like. There's no right or wrong. So the fun thing is, even though we're all working with the same materials, everyone's wreath is going to look a little bit different. And that's the fun part about this art, is you can have fun, get creative. You could make yours go all the way around if you want. When we do these classes here at the store, that's one of my favorite things, is to see everyone's artistic creations come to life. So again, I just kind of take the pieces, look at them, assess them, and insert them. And then a little bit of the flat cedar, kind of just going in, working it through, and again, deciding if I want to bind it or let it kind of be flowing. Okay. And always just kind of letting the pieces speak to you a little bit, figuring out how you'd like to secure them onto the wreath. And one thing to note, it might seem common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people don't realize there is a front and a back side of your greens. So the side that looks a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more shiny, that's your front side. This is your back side. Typically, you want to have the front side facing out so you can have that lush look, but it's up to you. Again, no right or wrong. I am going to kind of bring it down just a little bit more. Perfect. And I'm creating a little bit of depth, you know, not putting them all in at the same spot, just kind of working them through, threading through the bind wire, finding a space, grabbing it, and then twisting it on so my greens will stay in place in case I have a lot of wind on my front door. The cool thing is I'm making mine for the door, but I've had people in the past, they've made them all around and they've used them almost as a centerpiece with candles coming out. You can also hang them on your wall inside. So really, there's limitless options to what you can do with them. And kind of just taking it again, putting it through, twisting it, you know, about twice. I'm leaving some length and I'm going to go through and kind of cut off my little twisties at the end. Really beautiful. Oh, I love this Carolina sapphire. It's one of my favorites. And again, just kind of feeding it into that bind wire or into the grapevine wreath and working it up, twisting it on. This one I'm just going to secure with one of those bind wires that I already have there. Perfect. Kind of taking one of the thicker pieces and again just inserting it a little bit higher up. Sometimes you get a little forceful. Just kidding. Pop it through. It smells so good. I love that about a fresh wreath is, you know, and these just dry. They kind of petrify and hold their shape. So that's really fun. Just kind of look at it every now and then, see where you kind of want it. I think I'm going to put my bow on now and kind of add my finishing little touches right around there. So we've pre-done the bows for you, you know, a few different loops. They have wires in them, so if you need to fluff them out, you can just use your fingers and kind of guide them. And then I take it and kind of, I'm going to feed it through. I'm going to put it right there in that center area and just kind of work the bow through. You know what, I'm just going to actually loop it all the way around. Simple as that. Kind of take it and then twist it on the other side. And just kind of secure it on, twisting it around so that it won't move. Perfect. Okay, so I want it a little bit more full on that side. So I'm going to use another one of these Douglas firs and just kind of pop it up in there. And sometimes it will just stay on without you needing to use the bind wire. So just kind of assess it, feel it out. Okay. I might actually go all the way around with it. It's looking kind of good. And I'm using one of those bind wires that already existed and just kind of twisting it, pulling out some of the greenery. And I love this stuff. It really has a nice like shape and flow to it. You can take whatever scissors you have. I'm using a little bit more hardy of a scissors, but they're pretty thin stems. So you can just kind of go like that. I like to leave as much to work with as I can just so I can really insert it into that grapevine wreath and give it a little bit more. Okay. Cute. And then sometimes you want to see what way your piece is naturally kind of falling, so you can kind of work with it that way. These ones, they felt secure enough when I put them in, so I didn't need to bind them. So as a finishing touch, we like to add in just a little bit of red to kind of carry that throughout the wreath. You can kind of fluff your berries and then just insert them in, kind of feel it out, and secure them on. I'm using the bind wire that was long and it already existed, so I'm just going to twist it so it's secure. Just twist around kind of twice or so. And then, you know, you can even just kind of hide your wire right in the greenery. It doesn't show up, or you can cut it off. I'm going to kind of just carry it down a little bit. One more berry spray down here. And again, kind of focusing and coming out from the bow, starting at the top. And we chose artificial berries because they don't drop, they hold. You can enjoy them for the whole season. And again, just kind of carrying it down, securing it in, and then I'm going to connect it and twist it on. And then just kind of hide my little wires in amongst the needles. So, the true finishing touch are the frosted pine cones. Sometimes people spread them all around, which I might, and other times you can focus them all in one area. So there's a long wooden stick on them, and we are going to kind of put it through. And this is something that we're going to secure from behind because they typically do need a little reinforcement. Pick where you'd like to place them, insert your pine cone, and then kind of take a look. And behind you're going to see this big stick sticking out. Take one of your bind wires and kind of catch it with the wreath and, you know, secure it to the wreath by picking a stick, taking it, and then really twisting it on there. Can kind of go through a couple times maybe. And then once you know it's secure, you can clip off that extra edge so that it doesn't scratch your door or table or wherever it might hang. But so, yeah, I kind of like it like that. I'm going to wait until the end just in case I want to move them. Just kind of carry it down. Perfect. I kind of like them spaced out like that in this particular design. So I'll go through and just secure them. Give it a good twist. Go around. And now I'm going to trim off that extra like that. One more time. And then this last one I'm just going to secure. Okay. Get it on there good and tight. Cut off my extra bind wire. If you see any stems that are sticking out too much from behind, you can also just kind of tuck them in. Perfect. And so my little piece that jumped off the screen, I'm just going to grab it real quick. Da, 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 da. So this is what we're going to use to make our wreath hook. So you see I just took it, simply folded it, and then I'm going to go into the back where I figured out where I want my bow to kind of be and put it through. And then simply keep that little loop and then just take it and wrap it around a couple times. Whatever length you'd like it to be. And that way you have something that you can hook and hang it from. So perfect. There you go. You have a wonderful holiday wreath to hang on your door, hang on a wall, or even set as a centerpiece in your table. And then you can even kind of guide the tails around. So happy holidays, happy designing, and hope you have some fun.